If you're an avid gardener, you've probably accumulated seed packets, leftover seed after starting your seeds for the season. Well, what's the best way to store these seed to ensure that they remain alive for planting next season? Well, the trick is to store them both dry and cold. Here, let me show you how to do it. All you need are 5 things. First, you need a moisture-proof container. So I have this food storage container, which has this gasketed lid. And you want something with a gasket to ensure that the humidity stays constant within your drying box. You don't want to use something without a gasket. So you have your container. You'll need a smaller container that fits inside your larger container. You'll need a hygrometer or a data logger, something that measures relative humidity. And the last thing, the key ingredient, is you need potassium acetate. So potassium acetate is a chemical that's readily available. I bought this on Amazon. I believe it's 500 grams for around $20. And this is the key to maintain the proper humidity within your seed box. This will produce a relative humidity of around 25%, which is optimal for seed storage. So what you want to do is take your smaller container and your potassium acetate and fill it up about halfway. Doesn't have to be precise. If there's some big chunks, you can break them up with something. Once you have that, you'll want to add deionized water. So this is just water from the grocery store, bought in a gallon container. And then you just add it to the solution to create a slurry. You don't want to add too much and you don't want to add too little. Mac, use your spoon. You don't want to add too much water that all of the salt dissolves, but you don't want to add too little water to where it's not a slurry type consistency. So something like that should be good. See how it moves around when I move the container, the slurry moves around. That's about the consistency that you want. Then all you got to do is place your container within your drying box. Place your seeds within your drying box, and then add your hygrometer or your data logger. So right now the relative humidity inside my house is around 40%. What we're going to do is put the top on this and let it equilibrate, and shouldn't take long, should take 30 minutes, an hour. And once it equilibrates, the relative humidity within this box should be about 25%. Now you may be asking yourself, well, how does this work? Well, the secret is that what we're creating is what's called a saturated salt solution. And you can regulate the humidity within your container by choosing different salts. So there's actually a ton of research on this and tables that you can look up. I'll put one up here on the screen. So if you want even drier, you can go with lithium chloride. If you want a higher humidity, you can go with magnesium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium chloride. So different salts produce different relative humidity environments. But the best one for seed storage is potassium acetate, and that's because it creates a relative humidity environment of around 25% at room temperature. Now, you don't need to wait for your drying box to equilibrate at room temperature. What I recommend is putting it directly into your refrigerator at 5°C, which, what is that in Fahrenheit? I'll put it up on the screen. So for long-term storage, you want to use potassium acetate producing a 25% relative humidity environment at 5 degrees Celsius. And in those conditions, your seeds should last for a few years. This is what gene banks do. This is what seed companies use for seed storage. At those conditions, your seeds should remain alive for a few years. So I've been letting this sit for a while and humidity is not going down, and if I check the salt, it's rock hard. And you really don't want that. So if you find that your container is doing that, add a little bit more water and try to mix it in. If it's too hard, it won't adjust to the proper humidity. So if you're first setting this up, you may have to play around a little bit to get this to be just right. And it should, the humidity in your container should adjust pretty quickly. You know, that's sort of what you want in terms of consistency. It should adjust pretty quickly. So if it's not, there's something wrong and you need to take a look at it again. So there you go. That's how you create a seed drying box with potassium acetate. Give this a shot and let me know if this works for you. All right, see you on the next one.